Every parent wants the best for their child. But what if the best no longer includes traditional schooling? You're seeing the rising costs, the endless debates about curriculum, and perhaps a nagging feeling that something isn't quite right. This analysis dives into the growing movement of middle-class families who are saying enough is enough to conventional education and forging entirely new paths for learning and success. In a world where the cognitive squeeze is real and the architecture of value has shifted, is it time to rethink everything you thought you knew about education? We aren't just talking about a change in curriculum. We are talking about a fundamental psychological and economic divorce from the industrial era school system. Today, we deconstruct the Great Education Exit. 1. The ROI Crisis, the credential inflation versus skill deflation. The primary driver of the education exit is a cold, hard look at the return on investment. For decades, the middle class treated university degrees as a guaranteed ticket to upward mobility, a hedge against poverty. However, as we explored in our video on the cognitive squeeze, AI is now performing the entry-level cognitive tasks that once justified the high cost of these degrees. Parents are looking at six-figure tuitions and wondering why they are paying for their children to spend 4 years learning skills that are being automated in real time. We are witnessing credential inflation, where degrees are worth less precisely when they cost the most. The psychological weight of saddling a 22-year-old with debt for a degree that may be obsolete by graduation is becoming an unbearable moral burden for the modern parent. 2. Cracks in the Ivory Tower, the hidden tax of conformity. It isn't just the sticker price of tuition that is causing the exodus. It's the hidden tax of the traditional school life. We are talking about the endless cycle of extracurricular arms races, private tutoring just to keep up with a standardized curriculum, and the physical and emotional cost of a high-pressure environment that often prioritizes testing over talent. Families are realizing that the Ivory Tower has become a pressure cooker, where children are managed like inventory rather than nurtured like individuals. This realization is triggering a shift toward essentialist education, stripping away the institutional fluff to focus on what actually creates a flourishing human being: critical thinking, emotional resilience, and deep, focused work. 3. The pandemic's red pill, discovering the efficiency gap. The early 2000s provided a global, forced experiment in homeschooling that acted as a red pill moment for millions. When the classroom moved into the living room, the curtain was pulled back on the profound inefficiencies of the industrial system. Parents saw firsthand how much of a 6-hour school day was actually dead time, waiting in lines, managing bureaucracy, and teaching to the middle to accommodate the lowest common denominator. This revealed a shocking truth. Most children can complete their core academic work in 2 hours of focused study, leaving the rest of the day for genuine curiosity. This sparked a psychological realization that the traditional school building was often serving more as a state-sponsored childcare facility than a centre for elite cognitive development. 4. The rise of microschools, decentralizing the mind. We are seeing a move away from the super school toward the micro school or learning pod. These are small, hyper-local nodes where families pool resources to hire specialized mentors or use self-directed curriculums. Unlike the homeschooling of the past, which was often isolating, these 2026 learning pods are community-driven and high-tech. They allow for a bespoke education that adapts to the child's pace rather than the state's calendar. This is the decentralization of education, mirroring the shift we saw in the architecture of value, where trust is moved from a large, faceless institution to a smaller, verifiable network of peers and specialized experts. 5. Technological catalysts, the AI Tutor as the new aristocracy. Technology is the great equalizer in this transition. In 2026, AI-powered personal tutors can provide a level of one-on-one instruction that was previously reserved for the Victorian aristocracy. These systems don't just teach maths, they adapt to a child's specific psychological profile, identifying exactly when they are bored, frustrated, or ready for a challenge. When combined with VR immersive learning, where a student can walk through the streets of ancient Rome or manipulate the molecules of a digital heart, the physical classroom begins to feel like a relic of the 19th century. Families are asking, why sit in a drafty hall with 30 others when you can have a personalised, world-class laboratory in your pocket? 6. The gig economy. Influence, prioritising AQ over IQ. The job market has moved toward a skills-first paradigm, as we discussed in our analysis of the job market. Modern employers increasingly value a portfolio of evidence, proven projects, code bases, or creative work, over a prestigious but empty diploma. Middle-class parents are recognising that unschooling, allowing children to pursue real-world projects, entrepreneurship or specialised trades from a young age, prepares them better for a gig-based, AI-integrated economy. They are prioritising adaptability quotient, AQ, over traditional IQ, realising that in 2026, the only true future-proofing is the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn at the speed of the machine. 7. Challenging the socialization myth, the peer group fallacy. The most common criticism of alternative education is the fear that children won't learn to socialize. However, the psychological counter-argument is gaining ground. Is spending 30 hours a week exclusively with 30 people of the exact same age in the same zip code actually natural socialization? Alternative education models often involve multi-age leveling, where children interact with adults, older mentors, and younger peers in real-world professional and community settings. This creates a more robust, socially mature individual who is comfortable navigating the complexities of a multi-generational society rather than just the artificial hierarchy of a playground or a cafeteria. 8. The glass floor and alternative mobility. In our video, The Glass Floor, we discussed how the elite maintain their status through specific institutional pathways. The education exit is a double-edged sword in this context. While it offers a way for families to bypass a failing system, there is a risk of creating a new educational divide. Families with the social capital to navigate unschooling may inadvertently build a new elite tier of sovereign learners, while those left in underfunded public systems face a widening gap. The challenge for 2026 is ensuring that these new paths don't just become another glass floor for the privileged few, but a new standard for universal human development. 9. Institutional collapse, the funding death spiral. As middle-class families exit the public and private school systems, we face a looming institutional crisis. Traditional schools are often funded based on heads in beds. When the most engaged, resourced, and academically focused families leave, they take their funding, their volunteer energy, and their local tax advocacy with them. This risks a funding death spiral for public education, where the remaining system becomes a holding pen for those who cannot afford to leave. We must ask, what happens to the social fabric when the common ground of the local school vanishes? Are we ready for a world of fragmented, hyper-personalised educational silos? 10. The sovereign student, psychological autonomy. Ultimately, the most profound impact of this movement is the psychological shift in the child. Traditional schooling often conditions children to be passive consumers of information, waiting for a bell to ring, a grade to be given, or a teacher to grant permission to speak. Alternative education fosters sovereign learners, individuals who take ownership of their own curiosity. In an age where AI can answer any question, the most valuable human trait is the ability to ask the right question. By reclaiming their children's time and autonomy, parents are attempting to build a generation of architects rather than processors. People who create value because they want to, not because they were told to. Conclusion: the final sovereignty. The education exit is more than a trend. It is a psychological reclamation of the family unit. It is a declaration that the industrial era model of producing standardized humans is no longer fit for a world of decentralized intelligence and cognitive competition. As we navigate the cognitive squeeze and a world of shifting values, we are forced to decide what we truly want for the next generation. Do we want them to be well-adjusted cogs in a machine that is rapidly breaking down? Or do we want them to be the architects of a new, more autonomous world? If the goal of education is no longer a guaranteed job, and the goal of a job is no longer just a salary, then what is the true purpose of learning? If you could design a path for your child that prioritized their spirit over their spreadsheet, what would that look like? And why are you still waiting for the system to give you permission to build it?